Last time we moved forward on the timescale, but this week let's back the Wayback Machine up a couple of decades and check out 1979. After 2,500 years of continuous monarchy, Iran sees a revolution causing the Shah to flee to Egypt, while Ayatollah Khomeini returns from exile declaring Iran an Islamic Republic. On February 18th, snow falls in the Sahara Desert. It would only last for about 30 minutes and quickly melted, but for many people it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. The US space probe Voyager 1 passes close to Jupiter and captures photos of its rings. Philips holds the first public demonstration of the compact disc. The music world sees the debut of Michael Jackson's fifth studio album, Off the Wall. In an eerie coincidence, 12 days after the premiere of The China Syndrome, a movie where a reporter finds a cover-up of safety hazards at a nuclear plant, the 3 Mile Island nuclear generating station in Pennsylvania would suffer a complete meltdown. 1979 would see the release of many films that would become franchises, including The Muppet Movie, Alien, Mad Max, and of course a short-lived sci-fi show that saw dismal ratings but made the jump to the big screen was Star Trek The Motion Picture, which would lead to an added 6 TV shows, 13 films, countless novels, comics, and video games, not to mention a rabid fan base. This year would also see McDonald's roll out the Happy Meal nationwide, and so the pestering would begin. England elects its first female Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, on May 4th. Here we are, 37 years later, and the US has yet to follow suit, though that may soon change. To protest the classification of homosexuality as an illness, a number of people in Sweden called in with a case of being homosexual. Within a few months, Sweden would become the first country to remove it as an illness. ESPN became the first cable sports channel, and wives everywhere lamented. Also on TV, kids would get their own cable channel when Nickelodeon went live. Over on network TV, people would watch a bearded man in flannel fix homes on This Old House, and a couple of good old boys drive around in their tricked-out '69 Dodge Charger on the Dukes of Hazzard. On December 9th, the Commission of Scientists certifies the eradication of smallpox, making it the first human disease driven to extinction. Of the notable people born this year, including the late Heath Ledger, Maroon 5's Adam Levine, Daredevil's Rosario Dawson, and the ever-popular Chris Pratt, by far my favorite would be a certain fashion designer and star of his own craft corner, Ahmed. Since the Wayback Machine is still recharging, maybe we can hop in a stasis pod and take a long nap until we return to our own time.
In this series, I will cover amazing artists both old and new. Today, I would like to talk about Hieronymus Bosch. Born in the Netherlands, this artist is best known and remembered for his elaborate landscapes, often delving into religious concepts and narratives. He is one of the influential people that inspired Salvador Dali, amongst many others. Hieronymus, born as Jeronimus van Aken in 1450, is the third generation of artists in his family, as his grandfather Jean, who died in 1454, and father Antonius, who died in 1478, were both artists as well. Back in those days, much of the art was commissioned by the churches, who heavily influenced a particular subject matter of the art in those times. As a young adult, Bosch was welcomed into the Brotherhood of Our Lady, which was an arch-conservative religious group who, amongst many others, sought him out for his talent. Only 25 paintings exist that can be accredited to Bosch, and a few others that are assumed to have arisen from his workshop, though perhaps not of his own hand. Bosch was known for some intense imagery and depictions of human fallibility and emotional demise. He went beyond the commissions of religious art and delivered his perspective of consciousness and human behavior. His interpretation of the Last Judgment is a great example of how he personally viewed the existence of man to be an everlasting sin. This imaginative piece of work is divided into 3 segments, with the center representing the Last Judgment. The one in the left symbolizes the religious foundations, and the panel to the right embodies the view of how life will ultimately conclude. It's quite a pessimistic view of humanity, as it seems to imply that we are all of us destined to live in sin, and then be destroyed by it as we too destroy all things that were once beautiful. In the center panel, we see a glimpse of a proposed heaven, where a very small group of people seem to be pleading for their chance at salvation. Compared to the number of individuals below who are being tortured, mutilated, and exposed, we begin to understand the complexities of religious fear, and moreover, the heavy influence of burden on the believers of Christ. Another well-known piece by Bosch is The Garden of Earthly Delights. Honestly, I don't often know where to begin with his work. Taken as a whole, the composition satisfies beautifully. The use of color is dynamic and engaging, and the figures begin to draw you into the detail of events depicted. Again, we see a 3-paneled piece that reflects on humanity anew. The left one begins with a harmonious portrayal of Adam and Eve. We are then treated to a very elaborate existence of delights and pleasures taken in excess. The gluttonous and almost drug-induced orgy of indulgence is inviting and playful. This replica of life through the eyes of Christianity seems to imply that we are all predisposed to temptation and enjoyment. While I imagine the artist and those who commissioned it may have wanted to express their sentiments on how fallible men and women could be, perhaps to scare them into submitting to faith, I feel like it does quite the opposite. It almost implies that we are predisposed to depravity and perversion. One thing is certain, the views on religion and belief were intense in those days, and the expectations placed on people, whether as individuals or as a whole, was seemingly beyond the means of most. Our irrational fear of the unknown led to some gruesome and sometimes iniquitous behaviors by those who were in power, which often leaves some questioning not the morality of the people, but of religion itself. Do make the time to enjoy some of BOSCH's work on your own. Allow it to inspire you in a way that only art can.
Last year, in a historic ruling, the Supreme Court ruled that no state could bar same-sex marriage. This made a huge difference in the lives of many couples, allowing them many rights and protections that had been denied them for so long. Let's be clear. I believe that discrimination, all discrimination, is wrong, whether it's due to your sex, race, sexuality, religion, or nationality. It's all wrong. It's been very disheartening over the last year to watch so many states attempt to continue discriminating against the LGBT community in response to the Supreme Court ruling. We saw it with Indiana and their attempt to allow businesses to deny service because a person was LGBT, because it was against their religion. After overwhelming disdain from potential tourists and the business community, the governor and legislature of that state quickly attempted to backtrack by adding an amendment to the law. But it's still sad that it had to be economically forced. Then Georgia followed suit this year with their own similar law. And again, major businesses stepped up to tell the politicians in Georgia they wouldn't tolerate this. Even Hollywood stepped in, with Disney announcing they would halt productions being filmed in that state and move elsewhere. This ended with the governor of that state vetoing the law. Now we have 2 more states making the same misguided attempts to discriminate against an entire class of people that have done them no harm, fellow citizens who just want to live their lives and be with the person they love, or be shown respect regardless of what gender they choose to live their lives as. North Carolina, in order to thwart one major city that attempted to protect members of their community who were trying to be the gender they felt they were inside, passed a law to stop anyone in the state from having such protections. And in the theme you can see running throughout my commentary, businesses both big and small said, no, this is not right. Over 100 companies, from Bank of America to Apple, Facebook to Twitter, have said that they do not support this law and will be making their displeasure clear with their dollars. Many small businesses have even changed all their bathrooms to be unisex in order to get around the new law. That brings us to Mississippi, who is also in the midst of passing a religious freedom law similar to what they were trying in Georgia. I just don't understand the mindset that says you should even care about who loves who and who wants to marry who. I don't understand why these state governments continue to pass laws that are almost certain to be overturned in court as soon as they're challenged, and why, after seeing so many other states attempt it only to end up suffering economically as a result, these politicians still think it's a good idea. I can only hope that things will continue to get better and that time will show these politicians the error of their ways, that they realize it's the 21st century and no one deserves to be treated this way. This is Jason, and I approve this message. Do be a confident and mindful driver. Know where you are going before you head out. Those mapping apps on your phone come in quite handy for almost any location.
Don't be hesitant to make a decision. Maybe you're lost, you're new to the area. Pull over and figure it out. Slowing down in the middle of the road, trying to figure out where you are, is rude to the other drivers around you who probably know where they are going, and you are in their way. Move.
Do allow someone into your lane when they are trying to merge. You don't want them stuck in the exit lane or on the side of the road.
Don't wait until the last minute to merge. There is a reason that the lane warns you ahead of time to move over, and definitely don't use the merge lane as the fast lane to move ahead in line. Not cool.
Do turn your blinkers on when you are about to merge in one direction or another, or if you intend to turn. Other drivers will appreciate your thoughtful action of intent.
Don't simply move over without warning. People expect a level of decency so as to avoid accidents. The turn signal is in your car for a reason.
Do use your blinker to inform other drivers that you are about to take a soon-to-be vacant parking spot. Do be patient as the people in the spot you are waiting for load their things into their car.
Don't go taking a parking spot after you clearly saw that somebody else was waiting for it. And if you are the one waiting for the spot, don't go honking like a madman, rushing people to move out of the way. Unless that spot has your name engraved or printed on it, it is there to share. And if you are the person loading your car, load it up fast. Somebody's waiting for the parking spot. Move.
Do leave plenty of distance between yourself and the driver ahead of you. You want to make sure to have enough time to stop in the event of a sudden halt.
Don't tailgate. It's that simple. Especially on the freeway. Have you a final destination death wish? In most cases, you are likely to just make the driver in front of you want to slow down and piss you off. Don't tailgate. Period.
Do be aware of your surroundings at all times. The roads can be a scary place, but with the right precautions and attention, you can get yourself from point A to point B safely, time and time again.
Don't lose sight of what's important, your safety and the safety of others. I get it. We live in a modern era, and mobile phones and other technology rule above all. However, be mindful. Don't allow technology to be your end. One text could be your last. Be aware and be safe. Don't be hesitant to make a decision. Maybe you're the last time you're over the move. Don't wait until the last minute of this with the margin of this is not cool.
Bring on the music.
Subscribe, subscribe. You know to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. We'll see you next time. Ciao.